Welcome back. Well, one of Tucson's most memorable tragedies is, of course, the January 2011 shootings that killed 6 people and injured 13 others, including former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords and Ron Barber.
Now, Ron Barber has been very open about his recovery since the shootings, and Arizona Trauma Recovery Network is giving him the opportunity to speak with the public about it. Julie Miller is here to tell us about the upcoming event. Julie, thank you so much for being with us today.
My pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Let's actually start out with the network who's actually making this event able to be, to come here. Tell me about the network, how it started, and what they're all about.
Well, the Arizona Trauma Recovery Network started in 2010, just a few months before the shooting in 2011 here in Tucson, and we weren't quite in shape to be able to respond and offer services at that time. But it's a network statewide in Arizona of EMDR therapists who provide pro bono services to help those who've been involved in a community disaster or crisis like the Tucson shooting recover from that using EMDR therapy.
And AZTRN has really grown since then, so maybe tell us some of the events that you have responded to.
You bet. Right now we have over 100 volunteer clinicians who respond, and we've responded to, there was an office shooting in Phoenix where an attorney was killed by someone who he had been working with as a mediator. We responded at Yarnell to the Yarnell Hill fires. We had trainings up there for EMDR therapists, and we had a lot of involvement from the community in responding to that disaster. We've had experiences in Flagstaff. There was a hiking expedition in the summer, and it was actually struck by lightning, and so we were involved in treating the individuals involved in that. So it can be a man-made disaster, it can also be a natural disaster that we want to respond to help people recover so that their symptoms don't get worse.
And I know you're saying EMDR a lot, and
That's right.
I want to make sure that people understand, what that stands for.
Right.
As we're kind of going on. Explain what that acronym is and what you do with it.
Okay. EMDR stands for Eye Movement Desensitization and Reprocessing. It's a form of therapy that was developed in the 1980s and has over 20 randomized controlled trials that prove its effectiveness with post-traumatic stress and some related issues.
So then do you have to have gone through a traumatic event to kind of have that therapy?
Well, it depends on how you define trauma. For some people, it's these very intense, life-threatening experiences. For other people, it might be a divorce or a job loss or an intrusive medical experience where it's anything that's really gotten stuck and just continues to follow you, kind of trouble you in your life.
And is this something that, as we're saying, Ron Barber got into after the shootings?
Well, in the media, he mentioned that part of his recovery included eye movement desensitization and reprocessing, which would be a perfect fit for this kind of experience that would help him so that he can really move on with his life. And he's done fantastic things since then.
He really has, and now we're going to get the opportunity to hear him speak in public this very weekend. So tell us about the event this Saturday.
Great. So the Arizona Trauma Recovery Network is hosting an event with Ron Barber. It's called Transforming Trauma, former Congressman Ron Barber's Story of Recovery. And it's held Saturday, January 9th at Banner UMC Duval Auditorium from 2 p.m. to 4 p.m. He's going to be there to speak about his experience on January 8th and also what his recovery has looked like since. We'll also have a panel of experts talking about EMDR therapy, trauma, post-traumatic growth, and the impact of trauma on families and children.
Is this something that we need to purchase tickets or make a reservation for?
It's free of charge to the public. The reservations can be made, just so you make sure you get a seat, through the Arizona Trauma Recovery Network website, which is aztrn.org. And there is a specific little red button for you to click on, and it'll take you to the Eventbrite site, which will do the reservations. But again, it's free of charge. We just want to make sure you can get a seat, so make your reservations.
That's incredible. And Julie, I know the shooting wasn't really that long ago when we really put it into perspective. Some people might still be dealing with emotions and feelings from that. If they wanted to get in touch with AZTRN, how would they do that?
Again, it would be best to just go to the Arizona Trauma Recovery website, and there's a place where you can request help. So there's a link to click for asking for help if you still need help, if you're suffering still from the January 8th experience, you're having any symptoms, you know that you're having flashbacks or dreams, or you're just having a lot of trouble driving by that intersection, or just, you know that it's still with you. We're happy to help. That's what we're there for, and we'll provide any kind of assistance that we can in helping you move past that experience.
Well, Julie, this has been incredible. I want to thank you so much for coming on, talking about the organization and the new therapy that many of us haven't even heard about. So thank you so much, and we're going to make sure our viewers have all of the information for Saturday.
Thank you.
And again, Transforming Trauma, former Congressman Ron Barber's story of recovery is Saturday from 2 to 4 p.m. at the Banner UMC Duval Auditorium at 1500 North Campbell. For more information, call 373-3360 or go online to aztrn.org.